Hello guys, I'm Joe and I present to you a series of guides for every Mythic Plus dungeon in Season 3 with the current affix Beguiling, which has a nasty habit of switching spawn locations every week. So in these guides I will as quickly as possible explain important mobs, explain the affix combinations, propose safe routes for every combination of affixes and how to approach them. And before we start, a quick mention that I'm a streamer, mostly focusing on Mythic Plus, but I will also stream Classic, so if you're interested, you can follow me. All links are in description below, and if you find these guides useful, please hit the subscribe button to my YouTube channel, drop a like, and share your opinion in the comments below. First, let's start with explaining the affix combinations. There are 12 combinations of affixes that change every week, and if you're already familiar with the combinations and how to approach them, you can skip to the part where I explained important trash mobs, or if you're interested in the strategy only, you can jump directly to that part as well by clicking on the button on the screen. First combination is Teeming Volcanic Tyrannical, which means that you will have larger packs of trash and you will need to kill more for percentages, and the bosses will be harder to deal with, meaning they will have more HP and will deal more damage. And Volcanic is not even worth mentioning because it's really easy to avoid. With this combination of affixes, tank can pull a lot more trash and kill them off easily and focus on the bosses, meaning that the DPS always want to have their DPS cooldowns and use hero on them and not on the trash. So whenever you have exhaustion debuff, you try to clear as much trash as possible in between heroes. Second combination is Bolstering Skittish Fortified, which means that trash will have more HP and will deal more damage, whereas the bosses will be the easier part. With this combination you will have to be careful when you pull and how much tank pulls, because bolstering makes it so that when you kill a mob you bolster the rest of them, increasing their health and damage they deal. And with Fortified on top, you can easily turn a trash mob into a mini boss or even unkillable trash mob. So when dealing with this combination, tank should never wanna chain pull, and DPS always do as even damage as possible to all mobs and not nuking them down one by one. And because there is skittish as well, DPS needs to allow tank to get aggro first, then to burn the mobs down, cause it's easier to get aggro and be slapped by the mob and get insta shot. With this combination you might wanna use hero on some trash packs instead of the bosses. Third combination is Bursting Necrotic Tyrannical, which means that bosses will have more HP and deal more damage, and the trash needs to be dealt with caution. So DPS always want to have your DPS and defensive cooldowns up and use hero on bosses and not on the trash, so whenever you have exhaustion debuff you try to clear as much trash as possible in between heroes. When dealing with the trash you need to kill them in staggered fashion and not all at the same time, because with every dead mob you get stacking debuff of bursting, and if you get more than 4 stacks you can easily die. So if you have 3 to 4 stacks you wanna stop DPSing and wait for the debuff to time off before you continue killing mobs. This week is hard on the healers, and tanks they also have to deal with Necrotic, which is also a stacking debuff that inflicts damage and lowers the healing you receive. So tank needs to kite and refresh the stacks between 20 to 30 just to be safe. Tank can shadow melt Necrotic stacks, but you will lose aggro, so be careful when you're doing it. Fourth combination is Sanguine, Quaking and Fortified, which means that trash will have more HP and will deal more damage, and the bosses will be the easier part, so you might consider using hero on trash. Fortified alone is not much of a problem, but when combined with unavoidable percentage damage from Quaking, it makes it a lot harder. And when you deal with Quaking, healers need to top up players before Quaking goes off, and casters need to stop casting or they will get silenced and their cast will be interrupted. So regarding Sanguine, that means that when you kill a mob it leaves a puddle on the ground, and if a mob stands in the puddle it will get healed or deal damage to players that stand in the puddle. So even spread damage on trash, not nuking one by one, is the best way to deal with it, and please do not stun mobs in Sanguine. Overall it will be a pain in the ass to deal with it in tight space. Fifth combination is Bolstering Explosives and Tyrannical, which means that bosses will have more HP and deal more damage, so DPS always want to have your DPS and defensive cooldowns up and use hero on bosses and not on the trash, so whenever you have exhaustion debuff you try to clear as much trash as possible in between heroes. Bolstering makes it so that when you kill a mob you bolster the rest of them, increasing their health and damage they deal. So when dealing with this combination, tank should never wanna chain pull, and DPS always do as even damage as possible to all mobs and not nuking them down one by one. You also don't wanna overpull, because the more mobs you have the more explosive will spawn that you need to kill, or they will explode and deal tons of damage to everyone. It's a good mention to say that explosives can be LOS'd and DPS needs to focus on the explosives ASAP when they spawn, and CC'd mobs can spawn explosives. Sixth combination is Sanguine, Necrotic and Fortified, which means that Trash will have more HP and will deal more damage, and the bosses will be the easier part, so you might consider using Hero on Trash. So regarding Sanguine, that means that when you kill a mob it leaves a puddle on the ground, and if a mob stands in the puddle it will get healed or deal damage to players that stand in the puddle. So even spread damage on Trash, not nuking one by one, is the best way to deal with it, and please do not stun mobs in Sanguine. Overall, it will be a pain in the ass to deal with it in tight space. And tanks, they also have to deal with Necrotic, which is also a stacking debuff that inflicts damage and lowers the healing you receive. So tank needs to kite and refresh the stacks between 20 to 30 just to be safe. Tank can Shadow Melt Necrotic stacks, but you will lose aggro, so be careful when you're doing it. Seventh combination is Bursting, Volcanic and Tyrannical, which means that bosses will have more HP and deal more damage, so DPS always wanna have your DPS and defensive cooldowns up and use Hero on bosses and not on the Trash, so whenever you have exhaustion debuff you try to clear as much Trash as possible in between heroes. When dealing with the Trash you need to kill them in staggered fashion and not all at the same time, because with every dead mob you get stacking debuff of Bursting, and if you get more than 4 stacks you can easily die. So if you have 3 to 4 stacks, you wanna stop DPSing and wait for the debuff to time off before you continue killing mobs. 8th combination is Steaming, Explosive and Fortified, which means that Trash will have more HP and will deal more damage, and the bosses will be the easier part, so you might consider using Hero on Trash. Having Teaming means that you're gonna have extra mob in your packs and you're gonna have to kill more mobs for percentages. You also don't want to overpull, because the more mobs you have, the more explosive will spawn that you need to kill, or they will explode and deal tons of damage to everyone. It's a good mention to say that explosives can be LOS'd and DPS needs to focus on the explosives ASAP when they spawn, and CC'd mobs can spawn explosives. 9th combination is Raging, Quaking and Tyrannical, which means that bosses will have more HP and deal more damage, so DPS always wanna have your DPS and defensive cooldowns up and use Hero on bosses and not on the Trash, so whenever you have exhaustion debuff you try to clear as much Trash as possible in between heroes. Quaking will be a periodical unavoidable percentage damage the whole group will take, so healers needs to top up players before that happens, and Raging means that mobs below 35% will get enraged and deal more damage, but Druids can calm the enrage or soothe the enrage, but not sure about hunters. So overall it means that you can do bigger Trash pools and kill off the mob, preferable one by one, cause you don't wanna have the whole pack to be enraged and kill the tank. 10th combination is Bolstering, Grievous and Fortified, which means that Trash will have more HP and will deal more damage, and the bosses will be the easier part, so you might consider using Hero on Trash. With this combination you will have to be careful when you pull and how much tank pulls, because Bolstering makes it so that when you kill a mob you bolster the rest of them, increasing their health and damage they deal. And with Fortified on top you can easily turn a Trash mob into a mini boss or even unkillable Trash mob. So when dealing with this combination, tank should never wanna chain pull, and DPS always do as even damage as possible to all mobs and not nuking them down one by one. And Grievous is a stacking debuff that ticks when a player is below 90% health, so healer needs to top up players ASAP, which makes stuff harder. 11th combination is Raging, Explosive and Tyrannical, which means that bosses will have more HP and deal more damage, so DPS always wanna have your DPS and defensive cooldowns up and use Hero on bosses and not on the Trash, so whenever you have exhaustion debuff you try to clear as much Trash as possible in between heroes. You also don't wanna overpull, because the more mobs you have, the more explosive will spawn that you need to kill, or they will explode and deal tons of damage to everyone. It's a good mention to say that explosives can be LOS'd and DPS needs to focus on the explosives ASAP when they spawn, and CC'd mobs can spawn explosives. And because of explosive and the smaller pools, you don't have to worry that much about raging, and if you have a druid, he can just soothe the enrage and you're gonna be fine. 12th combination is Sanguine, Grievous and Fortified, which means that Trash will have more HP and will deal more damage, and the bosses will be the easier part, so you might consider using Hero on Trash. So regarding Sanguine, that means that when you kill a mob it leaves a puddle on the ground, and if a mob stands in the puddle it will get healed or deal damage to players that stand in the puddle. So even spread damage on Trash, not nuking one by one, is the best way to deal with it, and please do not stun mobs in Sanguine. overall it will be a pain in the ass to deal with it in tight space. And Grievous is a stacking debuff that ticks when a player is below 90% health, so healer needs to top up players ASAP, which makes stuff harder. In the second part, I will be explaining the important mobs and abilities you need to focus and how to deal with them. Or if you want just the strategy part, you can just click and skip the whole explanation of the mobs and the dungeons. And in this guide, we're gonna explain stuff about Shrine of the Storm, and the first mob you're gonna encounter is this Shrine Templar. He has Having Blow, Protective Aura and Tidal Surge. Tidal Surge gives 25% haste and damage done, and Protective Aura gives 50% reduced damage taken to the other mobs, so you need to interrupt this, or if you do not interrupt it, you can purge it with, you know, the Consume Magic or Purge from Shaman. I don't know if mages can spell steal it, and also the Tidal Surge is a nice thing to interrupt, but do not stand in front of this mob. If you stand in front of this mob, Having Blow will stun you and can kill you, but you can CC this mob and interrupt this Having Blow. The next trash mob is the Temple Attendant. These guys only cast Wash Away and Water Blast, which is frost damage. It will hurt your tank, so whenever you can, you should interrupt it, and that is about it about these guys. The next more important mob is the Tide Sage Spiritualist, and this guy has Mending Rapids. So the most important ability that you need to interrupt whenever you're killing a trash pack, it's Mending Rapids. If you do not interrupt this, it will heal every single mob. This heal is purgeable. You can purge it like with Consume Magic or Shamans, but by the time you purge every heal, they will heal a lot. So, and the next mob is this Living Current. It's an elemental, it has a lot of health, and it has Rising Tide. Rising Tide is unavoidable, it lifts the whole group into the air, slamming them down, and the whole group takes a lot of damage. So whenever you can, you should avoid this mob and not kill it. But there is a nice thing with killing this pack here, you know, the pack over here. If you kill this pack, you can then jump here and avoid the next annoying pack with Spiritualists. So there are pros and cons about killing this pack over here, and I will show you how to avoid the next pack. So after you've killed this pack over here, the one I was talking about with the elemental, what you can do to avoid the next pack is just go over here, jump, climb down, walk towards the wall, and boom, you've skipped the next pack. It's that easy. And the next mobs you're gonna encounter are the Galecaller Apprentice. They have 3 abilities that are not so scary, but there is Tempest that you can interrupt and others that you have to avoid, and that is about it. You kill them off, but the next part is gonna be a bit difficult. And the next pack you're gonna encounter after dealing with the Galecaller Apprentice is Windspeaker Heldis. She's surrounded with Tide Sage Initiate. They're not scary, but when it's Bolstering Weak, you don't wanna kill them with Windspeaker Heldis together. But I'm gonna show you how to kill them without pulling Heldis. It's really neat trick. It's an easy trick, and I'm gonna show you how. So you stand over here and you select this Tide Sage, you taunt off, and see, you stay your DPS, and when they come, you just kill them off. Easy trick, and you see, Windspeaker Heldis, she's not pulled. And so after you killed the little guys surrounding Heldis, now you can skip this mob or you can kill her. But I would advise to skip it because it acts like a mini boss. It has a lot of health, it deals a lot of damage, especially on Fortified Weak. It can easily kill off your group. So how you wanna skip this ad is like standing here on the edge, but you have to be on the edge, you have to be careful, and now you move and jump, and boom, you skip the ad. Now you move to the next one. Also, you can do this, like when these guys come, you can also pull them without pulling the big guys. So if it's like a Fortified Weak, you don't want to kill them off, but you have to be careful. They can go, see, they can go over there and pull Heldis. You have to kill them off here without pulling Heldis. and then you move for the next pack without bolstering them and having to deal with more difficult mobs. It can be tricky to pull these guys and kill them off here. You have to use stuns and stuff in order to kill them here and not pull Heldis as well. So the abilities that Windspeaker Heldis has are Gale Winds, Swiftness Ward, and Wind Blast. So this is the Wind Blast that you want to interrupt. It will deal damage to you. And this is the Swiftness Ward. There it is. It gives 25% haste, and the Gale Winds is unavoidable AoE damage that you're gonna take the whole group, and that's why you wanna skip this mob. The Gale Winds deal a lot of damage, and you wanna pull this mob outside of the ward. You need to stand in the ward, because if you stand in the ward, you're gonna get the haste and not the mob itself. The next mob is Ironhull Apprentice. It has 3 abilities. One is the AoE physical damage one that you need to avoid, or you can use your stun to interrupt it. Sundering Blows reduces the armor by 10% for 8 seconds. And the third one is Lesser Blessing of Ironsides. It increases its physical damage dealt, but they are slowed, so you can kite them. The second mini boss that you always want to skip, either with Shroud or Invisibility Potion, is Runecarver Storm. He has a nasty ability, Carve Flesh, that deals tons of damage, and the only way you can survive it is with immunity or standing in the minor reinforcing ward that he casts. So whenever he casts minor reinforcing ward, you want to move the ad outside of it because it will take less damage. When he casts Carve Flesh, you want to move inside the ward in order to survive this. But always you wanna skip this ad. It's really nasty, it deals a lot of damage, and on Fortified, not even the ward can save you from carving flesh. The third mini boss is the Guardian Elemental. It has a lot of health, it deals a lot of damage, like Electrifying Shock. It can be purged, but it is a lot of nature damage. The other AoE ability that you can LOS, it deals a lot of damage. It's the channeled ability Shipbreaker Storm. It deals also nature damage, but there is a neat trick in order to skip this mini boss. So what you want to do is mount up, stand over here, the whole group stands here, and the rogue pulls the mob over here, and when the mob is here and you just cross the bridge, stand here, and if you have a rogue, he can vanish and he can join you later. Or if you don't have a rogue, somebody of your group can sacrifice, die over there, and then you can just rest him afterwards here. And then you can move on, clearing the rest of the trash. And the next important mob is the Deep Sea Ritualist. It has Unending Darkness. It's a casting ability that deals shadow damage to everybody in the party. And it also increases the shadow damage you take by 10%, and this debuff stacks. So whenever you don't interrupt Unending Darkness, you get shadow damage, and every next Unending Darkness will deal 10% more damage, stacking. So you want to have coordinated interrupt rotation between your party members when you're dealing with this trash mob. And the next ability is Void Seed. It debuffs a player and he has to move out of the group. After it expires, it deals shadow damage to everybody around you. And the next mob is Tide Sage Enforcer. So this guy has Tidal Pot and Deep Smash. It inflicts frost damage to an enemy, and globals of water erupt from the target, additionally inflicting frost damage to the target it lands. So what you want to do is just watch your feet and don't stand in the puddles. And the next mob is the Drowned Deathbringer. It has Touch of the Drowned. It's a debuff that you can cleanse. You have Void Bolt that will deal shadow damage, but the most important ability is Rip Mind. It's a lot of shadow damage, and it also reduces the maximum health by 10%. So you always want to keep your interrupt for Rip Mind and not for Void Bolt or Touch of the Drowned. And how you want to approach these two guys is just by pulling them outside as fast as possible. And the reason why you want to LOS them and pull them outside is because Revealed Darkness, if you let this cast go off inside, it will spawn these little tentacles that you have to kill off. But if you kill them outside, they do not spawn the tentacles, and Reveal Darkness is neutralized. The next mob is Abyssal Cultist, and it has Detect Thoughts that you want to interrupt. If not, it will increase its dodge chance by 100% for 6 seconds. and it has Mental Assault that you have to dodge. It's a cone ability that deals damage and stuns you for 4 seconds. It has Reveal Darkness, it spawns tentacles, and it has Consuming Void. It's a shield which absorbs all spell damage. In addition, whenever the caster would take spell damage, they are healed instead. So when they cast Reveal Darkness, they spawn these colossal tentacles that has ability Colossal Slam that slams the ground, inflicting nature damage to everybody in the party. Okay, moving on to the strategy part. So every week has combination of affixes, and every week has emphasis on one emissary. For example, for this week it's emphasized on the Void, and you have 4 combinations with emphasis on the Void, 4 combinations with emphasis on the Tides, and 4 emphasis of combinations on the Enchanted Emissary. So every combination of the Void, it has the emissaries on the same spot. The only thing that changes are the other affixes. So whenever you have the emphasis of the Void, this is the route I would take. And it will slightly change depending on the other affixes, and it will slightly change on how you approach them, but mostly it will be the same. So you start off with the ads in the room. You kill off the big ad together with the little ads. You kill off the emissary. That is easy. You focus the emissary first, then you kill off the big guy. You move on to the next pack, and on the next pack I would kill everything here except for the big guy, the living current. I will take this guy over here and move to the left side, kill the guys on the left side, jump down, kill them off here, continue with the rest of the pack and kill off the little guys. You CC this guy, jump here, kill the Void emissary, and then together with the guard and the rest of the trash here, you kill them off. You start the boss, and while you're starting the boss, you kill off these little guys, you kill them as well. You don't want to waste time before the boss spawns. After the boss, you move to the next pack that you have to kill because it has Void Touch emissary, and you have to be careful because you have Windspeaker Heldis. You have to focus the Void Touched emissary, and then you have to deal with Heldis. After that, you move on. You kill these 2 guards here, the little guys inside. You kill the pack with the 3 mobs. You shroud Rune Cover Sorn. Then you move to the next pack that you have to kill, and you focus the Void Touch emissary. After you kill it, you can just skip the big guy with the tip I showed you in explanation of the dungeon. Then you move on, you kill these guys over here and clear all the initiates over before the second boss. You also kill the Iron Hall Apprentice together with the Gale Color Apprentice. Then you move on here, kill this pack together with this guy over here, deal with this pack over here with the Enchanted Emissary, kill off the guards at the entrance, pull these 2 guys, kill them off. Then on the bridge you must kill this pack as well, and then you're gonna use Shroud and you're gonna skip this pack over here, move to the 3rd boss. At the 3rd boss, you only want to kill the left side because it doesn't have emissary. You move on to the boss, kill the boss, and here you want to skip these guys and kill off the little guys all around the boss, surrounding the boss, and you have to be careful not pulling them. You can easily kill this boss without pulling this pack over here, and it's gonna be a lot easier to skip it because there is Void Touched emissary. And with the combination with the emphasis on the emissary of the Tides, this is the route I would take, and probably it's the most safest route. So first off, you're gonna start with, the usual, the big guy in the room with the little guys. You kill them off. Now move outside and take the guys at the exit. Go to the right side and you kill everything except for the living current and this guy over here that has also emissary of the Tides, and you get the big pack with the living current afterwards. You kill off Shrine Templar, little guys. You take these guys over here, and then you skip this whole pack over here by jumping on the stone. Move to the boss, kill the little guys while the first boss is spawning, kill the next pack. Then you skip Windspeaker Heldis because she's a mini boss. Then you move to the next pack, kill these 2 guards, kill the little guys inside, deal with the next pack with Void Touched Emissary, skip Rune Cover Storm with Shroud or Invisibility Potions, kill the next pack, skip the Guardian Elemental, kill everything before the second boss, and after the second boss you kill off these packs together, and then you move to the next pack over here, you kill them off here, kill the 2 guards at the entrance, kill the guys outside so you don't spawn these tentacles over here, and you kill out the Void Touch Emissary, shroud the whole bridge, skip everything, go to the third boss, and before the third boss you kill off one side, move to the boss, kill the boss as well, move for the last boss, clear everything before the last boss, and you deal with the last boss, and that is about it. And for the last combination of the emphasis on the Enchanted Emissary, I would take this route. So you start off with the big guy and the little guys in here, you kill them off, go outside, kill everything before the stairs, then move to the left side, jump down, kill this pack over here without pulling this pack, and after you kill this pack, go for a void, kill these 4 guys with the void, kill the big guy, kill the Shrine Templar with the little guys, then jump down, kill this pack over here, start the boss summoning, and then kill off these guys over here, kill the 2 guys over here before the boss spawns. After the boss spawns, kill the boss, skip with Speaker Heldis, kill the Void Touched Emissary with the 2 guards, kill the little guys inside, deal with the next pack, and then you just skip Rune Cover Storm with Shroud or Invisibility Potions, kill the next pack and try to focus the Emissary of the Tides, and then skip the big elemental. You kill everything before the second boss, and after the second boss you go for this pack, kill it off with this guy together, then move for the next pack, kill this guy over here, kill the guys before the entrance, kill the Void Touched Emissary inside, you kill off everything, and then you shroud the whole bridge, move for a third boss, and on the third boss you kill the guys on the left, you don't kill the guys on the right side. Only if you think you're gonna need more percentages, then you can kill this side as well. Kill the third boss, move for the last boss, kill the little guys surrounding the last boss, kill off the last boss without pulling this pack over here, which can be really easy, and that's it.